The following video is going to concern Mozilla Firefox old and new versions that you might have gotten an error message. I'll include part of that in the title. Basics. You may have been dragged to a website on mozilla.org which proves that they have the ability to hijack your computer. That goes to mozilla.org / and it'll be en-us or some other variation for the language type. Then it'll say Firefox, then welcome, and then some number. Yes, I meant that the way it sounded. And it will state, your Firefox may start to have problems on January 14th, 2025 when a root certificate will expire, causing some preferences and other features to stop working. They're being intentionally vague. Update now for the best browsing experience. Act now. On that date, Mozilla Firefox versions that are older than version 115 or 128, depending on the subtype, will have a root certificate expire, and preferences, add-ons, and settings may be reset to defaults, or just stop working entirely. Unless you're running ESR, that's Extended Support Release, version 115.13 or newer, for Windows 7 and Windows 8, or a version of Firefox 128 for Windows 10 and 11, on January 14th, 2025, a content signing root certificate. It's a certificate to sign content and utilities and functions, anything that can be used by the browser, will expire. This is used for add-ons, playing back digital rights management restricted videos, and also non-DRM videos that are just using it to make it to where you have a private pathway for the data transfer. Various Mozilla projects, including Firefox itself, and or subsystems that you could download like experiments. They'll fail, reset to default, or do unpredictable behavior. Now, this is especially extreme if you have disabled auto updates, which would amount to not letting it update itself continually and gradually, where it will sit there and not be able to do anything about it. Now, I've disabled auto updates like a lot of people because auto update will download the latest version that's not tested. Unless you're using a bunch of specific restrictions, every update is a test experiment and you're a guinea pig. For every add-on, plugin, every utility and function, everything. Opting out of it is not optional unless you do only one thing, and that's to disable every damn update. Why would someone do that? Because I don't want to be a guinea pig? Now again, Mozilla sent my browser without any initiation on my part, when I was just trying to load up Google. They sent me to a website used primarily to put up a pop-up ad as a welcome or warnings. Try as I might, I've done my best to disable every example of this because the web browser company isn't supposed to be able to tell my browser what to do so that I'm held responsible. See also Mozilla.org and also Firefox websites being hacked, having the page defaced, and having these pages turned into hijackers that would install malware on people's computers. This has happened. Why would you keep this enabled in a web browser? You know damn good and well it's not doing any of us any good, except when it's a warning. But normally it's used for ads. Your Firefox may start having problems on January 14th, and then they go into a vague explanation about features and preferences. That preferences part refers to your settings. You know, you telling the browser what to do. Now, you can download a portable or non-portable version of Firefox Legacy ESR 115. It has to be 115.13 or it isn't going to get rid of this problem. Because the newer version has support for the root certificate. The content signing root certificate is either A, in your browser, B, on the website, C, totally under control of Mozilla, and they could just fix this, but they chose not to. You have to look up all the details about it. I'm not giving an opinion on it. Now, I want to bring out something really simple. I'm going on, let's say, YouTube, and I need to be able to access it, even though it absolutely hates Firefox, and especially hates older versions, because older versions will let me control it more. You see this slippery slope and slow drip and slow boiling frog thing I'm obviously referencing. Now, one of the ways I get around that is I will go to youtube.com/ and then somewhere in the line, $ or ampersand, approved_browser_access equals true, meaning you've been temporarily, in my case permanently, allowed to use an outdated browser, because they have to allow that. There has to be an option for it because the European Union took Google and YouTube to court. Because demanding that you update to the latest bleeding edge piece of software that will be sabotaged is self-dealing behavior from whoever's doing it. Also, one of the reasons Google's being dragged into court, just like Microsoft was, just like they all were before by the European Union. Remember that net neutrality thing that all of you guys got angry about? Yeah. Anyway, other things. Within the browser in the past, I've been able to disable its ability to bitch and whine about a lot of things. Again, turning off the updates too. I wait till I get the version of each piece of code, the sign-ins, the add-ons, the tools that aren't broken, that aren't bleeding edge, that aren't a test case, that aren't fucking me over. YouTube changing their policies and code so it will deliberately attack my browser. The only thing I can do about that is to load up add-ons and hacks that force it to work. These hacks are still using, quote-unquote, the older certificate, the root certificate, or the content signing root certificate. Can they be updated to use the newer one? Can my browser be updated to do that? Again, hey, update the latest version, which is the only thing they're telling you, on a page, again, that was used primarily for advertisements and were self-serving. So, portableapps.com/apps/internet/Firefox-portable-legacy-115, or just download the latest version of Firefox if you got a newer op system. Also, you can look up things like support Mozilla org KB root certificate expiration, that sort of thing. That page is more informative. That's the one that links to. It's not just the ad bot bullshit kind of page. You can also do things like temporarily do things like force it to work against its will, various things. I go into about config and modify things. You can also tell it, hey, about :config, and then go to network.http.http3.enabled and maybe disable it, or disable the newest version of whatever on each website and go dig around. Remember in the old days where a website would crash, but it would tell you that you were supposed to somehow contact the administrator when you don't have the ability to? Like it's on us to fix their problem? Yeah, this is the same thing. Also, I found an add-on, this is another thing, called H.264.FI. H.264 is the codec used on YouTube that they tell you should format your videos in when you upload them. But then they switched over to a Google pseudo-proprietary, pseudo-open standard that doesn't work under Firefox properly, called V9 or V29 or something like that, or something 9. And this add-on .mozilla.org/en-us/firefox/addon/H264FI basically forces the website to stop playing games and just give you the best resolution or the cleanest video that will always play. That means turning off 60 frames a second, which they went out of their way to make not proper. It's not supposed to be 60 frames a second. That's not actually the standard. It's called 60 FPS, but it's actually a slightly different number. They rounded it off. Or did they? Anyway, it doesn't work on most browsers, except the one that they created, Google. So let's disable it. And the more they see computers not playing their game, the more likely they're either to fight, which is what they're doing about uBlock Origin, or they give in and stop deliberately sabotaging the majority of browsers. Maybe we can help them not get taken to court. As for Mozilla Foundation, if anybody wonders why I'm being in snide remark mode about fucking Mozilla, is Mozilla has had problems for literally a decade. They have we now have them on recording refusing to fix because, quote, just buy a better computer and update your browser and computer and operating system and get off our necks. Instead of, why did you deliberately sabotage your own memory stack to where the damn thing is able to crash in the first place? On a 1 terabyte RAM-based computer running Windows 10 that was tested, it could find a way to crash just loading a fucking YouTube video. And it happened. And they're like, well, what? It's updated to literally bleeding edge technology. Well, maybe your browser, maybe it's the drivers. No, it's because you won't fix a RAM leak problem. It's actually garbage collection, but that's another story. And yes, you can get an add-on to fix it because they won't just pay the guy who wrote the add-on and just make it part of the damn cat. I'm blathering. Was this completely within control of the company? My suspicion, yes. Site certificates have to expire. Yes, I know that. But they keep patching things from here to hell and gone and are willing to break into your computer and drag you to an advertising page to put up a tech support thing. Because apparently that's the part of the website that gets carte blanche access to your computer is the advertising area. Software best practices, otherwise known as what Google used to call don't be evil, are dead. How to fix this if you want to keep your old browser working? You can't. Eventually it will just take away a bunch of things. Unless, here we go, there are versions like Brave Browser and other hacked together old school versions of Firefox that work just fine and will work on they'll work all the way back to Windows XP and even Windows 98. They don't support 95 and Millennium. They only support 98 because nobody will show you respect if you're running Millennium or 95 at that point, unless you absolutely want to change one setting and it works fine. But you get the idea. People can make modern browsers that work on frickin' Windows 3.1 and DOS. But Mozilla can't make their shit not have an expiration date for the fucking certificate or just fix the problem. Or just make their browser work on every operating system. If you make it work on Windows 95, no, I'm not kidding about it, it will run on Windows 10. Windows 10 doesn't care if you run a really old piece of software. It'll let you do it. You just have to say, I agree that this is insecure, and just say, yes, this is a permanent exception. And it works fine. It's considered a security problem, so it pays more attention to the software, like a browser, and becomes more paranoid about viruses. It doesn't hurt anything, it just makes it harder for the viruses to get in. I'm going to say it. There is no technical reason for this. Yes, you can run. There's a version of Netscape someone hacked together that works on the latest version all the way back to Windows 3.1. It's the Windows 3.1 version. Someone modified Internet Explorer for Windows 3.1, which oddly enough wasn't broken and worked great. If you grabbed that one and forced it to work under Windows 95, it fixed most of the problems, and it had almost no backdoors left. You could just plug the last two, which were advertising-based. You might have noticed kind of a trend here. And that will still work under Windows 10. No, I'm not shitting you. It works. But it isn't supported anymore. But it worked anyway, so I guess you're wrong about that support statement. Yeah, if it keeps working, and it's 20 years old or something crazy like that, that means it's not having a problem. I can load up Firefox 3 and apparently it runs. This is not a valid thing. Oh, it is. And by the way, it works fine. And there are hacks for that to make it work on modern websites, just not YouTube. But the people who authored the software couldn't make this not happen. And a lot of you are experiencing this being sprung on you. The earliest mention of this was 6 months ago. When was this certificate issued? A long fucking time ago. Years. So this has been a known outcome. They knew it was going to happen. They let it happen. How many memes do you need now? Again, just download the latest version of the browser and you'll be fine. But if you're running an operating system old enough, you download 115.13 and you'll be fine. Until they remove it from the internet so you can't use it, so you are forced to upgrade. Or maybe they're not going to be evil this week. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. You're going to need it.